Okay, that's enough of that shit. I guess that's modern pop radio, which I haven't heard any of for years. I don't listen to it. I guess I listened to a few minutes of that. It wasn't awful. It reminds me of the bubblegum crap in the 70s. You know, all the cutesy shit. But that's all right. Okay, so I'm going to slow down because I'm finding out these railroad track crossings are really rough, a lot of them. Like, way rougher than they should be. So this is kind of a neat little town. I mean, very little town. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like little towns. I mean, I live near a little town. Not this little, but I live near a little town. I guess at some point when I get older, I'm going to have to move into town probably, which prospect doesn't exactly thrill me, but at some point we're going to have to, you know, acknowledge when we get to the point where we can't really keep this one up. There's a lot of work to be done, even just 12 acres, you know, because you got to mow and then you've got to keep the trees trimmed, you got to do all the stuff. Keep all the buildings in shape, do all the maintenance. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot more than you think about until, you know, you're there and you've got to do it. So my problem about living in town is I don't like other people's noises infringing on me. It's one of the reasons I choose to live out in the country, because I don't want neighbors that are, you know, playing their stereo at volume 11 all night on the weekends or whatever, or sitting out in front of their house with their car stereo cranked all the way up. I'm just not interested in having that kind of shit in my life. I see enough of that out and about, you know, when I'm traveling. People with stereo systems that actually rattle my truck when they go by. I mean, to each their own, but I don't want to have to be subjected to that. Not at my home, where it's my sanctuary, you know, my place of peace and contemplation, which may or may not be, but that's kind of how I think of it. Okay, just checking my phone, making sure I'm not missing anything. All right, it's pretty uneventful right now, so I will get back with you if something exciting happens.
No rocks. and I'm an amateur rock guy, and I asked them what they are.
All right, so I am not very far from home, about an hour and a half out, and I'm looking at this cloud structure down here south of me, and I'm hoping that that's not over my home. I'm hoping that's a lot farther away than it looks like it is. Over to the west, we've got some sunshine, and then we got some other clouds, but those are thunderhead looking clouds to me, down south of us. So I'm hoping that those are farther south. I'm hoping those are like down over Texas. That would be nice. So I'm only 95 miles from home, so those could be a couple hundred miles away. These clouds get so tall when there's a weather disturbance like we've been having, that those could be a lot farther away than they look. I saw some similar a few months ago, and they were out east of us, and I thought maybe they were, I don't know, over eastern Oklahoma, just on the other side of I-35. Actually, they were in Arkansas, so they were a lot farther away than I thought they were. So I'm going to look, since I'm thinking about it, and check my weather radar very carefully here. Very carefully, because I'm driving. And I'm going to see what the radar tells me about where those clouds are. I'll give you a look what it looks like back to the west of us, because the road turns to the west here. Okay, I think those are over. I think those are closer to us than I was hoping. Those are, well, there's some up here just out west of us. I'm seeing on the radar. So I'm coming down 81, and these storms are just straight west of me, probably 40 miles maybe. These other ones, if I can get my, the other ones I'm not sure, they may be in Texas. So what I need to be worried about is this stuff out west of me, because there's hail in it, it looks like. So I need to get through here and get gone before that comes over here. And I'm just about to El Reno. So if I can get south of Interstate 40, I should get out of harm's way with that anyway. Those other ones might be way south. I'm just not seeing anything on the radar that looks like that. Huh. Very interesting. I guess those are not like dense radar tripping clouds. The ones that are concerning are the ones that you just saw when I turned to the west, the dark color, the dark blue and all that. So that's interesting. But I'm going to get on through here as fast as I can get on through here and get out of harm's way. I do not want this trailer or my truck to get hailed on. That would really suck. That would really be bad. It's really bizarre that I'm not seeing the clouds down south of us. I mean, you can see them there. They're really tall clouds. They're really pretty, actually. It's very pretty. But those are not casting any radar data at all that I can tell. Very strange. Very, very strange. So maybe those aren't thunderheads, maybe they're just high casual clouds. See, they're starting to not look so thunderheady, if that makes sense. They don't look like they're boiling or anything. A lot of times the tall thunderheads will look like kind of cauliflower-like. They'll have like nodes and lobes and things. Those don't really have that much of that. They're a little fluffier looking. Oh, this is Kingfisher. I've still got to get down to El Reno. Dang, this may be bad. I hope those storms don't catch me. It looks like they're blowing straight this way. So this is not too awful far from where I think I was in a little tornado last year, kind of on the edge of one. It's about 20 miles south of here. Or 30, down by Union City. I'm not sure how far Kingfisher is from all this. Well, I'm 89 miles from home, so it can't be any more than 15 miles to El Reno, I think, if it's that far. So maybe I won't have any trouble, because that's only about 10-12 minutes once I get through town here, once I get through Kingfisher. So I'm just going to try and relax and stay calm. Stay calm. It's not like I'm really too worried, but I just don't want to get tangled up with hail. That's my thing. I don't want this trailer to get dented up. That's something that, you know, they couldn't really blame on me, because nobody has a place to garage a trailer this size, really. Very few people would have some place to put it in out from the hail. But I'm sure I'd still have to, you know, I'd probably get docked for letting it get it with the insurance company. They'd probably make me pay a deductible anyway or something. Not sure how that works like an act of God. And I think hail is considered an act of God. I mean, what are you going to do to stop it, you know? Probably nothing would be my guess. These towns all have such nice houses on their main streets. They're great big old houses. That's what people used to do. They had money, they'd live on the main street and have a big house so everybody would know they were doing all right, you know. So we could see that they were raking in the dough. Which, I guess that's important to some people. But it's clearly not important to me, because I don't dress in, you know, fancy clothes or live in a fancy house. Have any fancy friends. I'm a pretty plain girl. Kind of a plain Jane, in a way. I kind of like that about me because I think I'm worthy, even though I'm not rich or fancy or any of that. These allergies are aggravating. Very annoying. Probably annoying to you too. I'm sorry if it is. I don't know what to do about it. So I'm anxious to get home because I'm actually hungry, and because I've been eating more carnivorously. I didn't buy any junk food today. I bought egg bites this morning for breakfast, kind of brunch really, and we've got steaks in the refrigerator that I bought the other day, and I really want one of those. This Camaro, it's an oldie. It's a stinky one too. Woo! What? Car stinks. Oh crap. It's pretty nasty. Okay, I gotta have air. Thing's burning oil, I think. It really stinks. Yeah, it's burning oil. Yuck. Okay, that should be Okarchi down there, where that next grain elevator's at. We're going to outrun this storm, I think. We'll be gone through here before it gets over this far, I do believe. Feel relatively confident about it. I'm not really seeing anything very bad back in there. I'm seeing a lot of rain, but I'm not seeing like anything all that dark or scary. Not taking any chances though. I do not want to get this trailer torn up. That would be bad. This road is just in terrible shape. I say that every time I come through here, I know. It still is. It was last time I was here, it still is. Terrible shape. radar again. Okay. I've just about outrun it. I just got in the other lane a little bit too. Dang, I hate when that happens. I think I scared the guy behind me and me. Scared us both. So I think I figured out where those tall clouds are. I think. I think that those are clear over way the hell over, like Arkansas and Louisiana maybe. That's the closest stuff I'm seeing on the radar is really far away. If that's the case, those are high. Those are really tall tops to clouds. That doesn't even seem possible. I mean, that just seems kind of crazy, but I've seen clouds like that in Arkansas before and thought they were close. So, I don't know. Interesting. So it's 6:47. I've got about an hour of daylight left, somewhere thereabouts. Hour and a quarter. Okarche. Good. When you get through here, then we'll get on down through El Reno. It's on the south side of Okarche. We'll peel off toward El Reno. And that should get us out of harm's way as far as these cells over here are concerned, to the west of us. It looked like the last one on the south was a little bit more north than El Reno, maybe. Okay. That thump, thump, thump you're hearing, that's the road. It's like washboard concrete. Okay, so it's getting dark enough now that my lights turned themselves on. Because this cloud is blocking the sun, it's not getting dark yet. It's just that big cloud there is blocking the sun. I really want to get south of this thing. I don't like the looks of that at all. Guess I better slow down though. Slow down. Slow down. You're welcome, cranky machine. These little speed machines are bossier than hell. Slow down, slow down. Little backseat drivers. That's what a lot of these little towns do when they can't afford a lot of cops to run traffic. Especially when they're on a main drag like it's a main highway. And sometimes just use them as a supplement to their police force. We used to have a radar trailer, speed trailer. We'd drag it to different places in town and set it up, and it would act up if somebody was speeding. It'd warn them. Yeah. I never really had to mess with it because I had a Crown Vic, so I didn't have a hitch on my car. The guys that had the Explorers and the other SUVs, they were the ones who had to go haul them around. I was glad I didn't have a hitch on my car, so I didn't have to screw around with this stupid thing. I just never thought much of it. I thought it was kind of silly then. I still think they're silly. Come on, guy. You got nowhere to go, but I want to get home. And I want to get out of the way of this cell of this storm. Very much so. I can't decide about those clouds up there. I think those are just high clouds because that doesn't make any sense that they'd be that far away. You know, it seems to me like they would look like they were a little farther away if they were that far. But what do I know? Okay, so we're peeling off here. Highway 3 goes on over into Oklahoma City. We sure as hell don't want to go there. And I drove an extra half an hour to circumvent Oklahoma City. I don't want to go back into it at all. I don't want anything to do with it. Okay, I'm almost far enough south to be out of range of that storm. It's moving pretty slow too. Once I get across I-40, I should be past it. It's not that far to I-40 now. It's about 10 miles, so. See, people do this shit all the time. It's the dumbest thing to do. If you're turning onto a highway like this and people are coming at a high speed, turn into the fast freaking lane. You know? Give people a little bit of room. What an idiot. What a bloomin' freaking idiot. pretty dark back behind me. I'm glad we got through there when we did. Another half an hour and we would have been right in that. I'm smelling it now. I can smell the ozone. So just south of El Reno is where I got into that mess last year. This is just a bad area through here. They get storms coming through here that can be really severe. And a lot of these severe storms don't necessarily come out of a giant front. A lot of them come out of a single cell. So I'm kind of over this though. I just want to get done, get through here and get home. And do it without having to get either rained on or hailed on again. Or rained on again or hailed on. I haven't been hailed on yet. Don't want to be. I do not want to be. Now, I didn't know they were calling for storms this afternoon too. They don't tell you everything on the weather anymore. Our weather people have really gone downhill. I'll tell you who was really good here for weather was Gary England. He was the best meteorologist Oklahoma has ever had. Probably the best we will ever have. Unfortunately, he's retired, so he doesn't do our weather anymore, but he would tell you what was coming, and he was usually right. Unlike these guys now that can't get anything right, apparently. And it's really bad because they make these forecasts and then they're completely wrong. And after a while you quit listening to them because they're always wrong. And then someday they'll get something right and they'll try and warn us and it'll be too late. So it's kind of a bad deal. It's not good. Freaking casino traffic. Okay, I see El Reno. Just on the south side of El Reno is Interstate 40. So once we're south of that, I think we're good. So I'm kind of keeping an eye on this cell over here that's out west of El Reno, and it doesn't look very dark. It doesn't look like there's much going on with it, so not yet anyway. I mean, any of these storms could spin out a tornado, I guess, but it doesn't feel like a tornado-y day today. Sometimes you can feel it in the air. You know, you feel the oppressive, kind of muggy humidity and the heat. This is a little different than that. I'm not feeling any of that. That's interesting. Is the wind coming out of the east now? That's bizarre. It appears maybe it is. strange. Very strange. We got storms coming out of the west, but wind coming out of the east. What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. The wind is definitely out of the east. Look at this flame burning over here to the right. It's blowing hard toward the west. So the wind is blowing hard out of the east. It's blowing back against those storms. Maybe that's why they haven't come on in here. Interesting. I think it's a good idea to get out of this area altogether if that's the case, where two opposing winds meet. Because those storms out west of us, I was looking at the radar, and the tracking on the storm says they're moving toward the west, or toward the east. So we got those storms coming in, meeting the wind that's blowing toward them. It's a good place to get the hell away from, I would say. I think they call that wind shear, maybe, when two opposing wind directions meet. Not sure about that, but I think maybe. Oh man. I am ready to be home and ready to get some food. Getting flat out hungry. Are just about out of the danger zone. Another couple of miles and we'll be, I think, plenty far south of it, but whatever's trying to spin up over there won't be coming towards us, which would be nice. So this is El Reno, Oklahoma. I need to get over to follow the highway, and these people are going to be nice enough to let me go. Thank you guys. Squawk and scoot, chicken and more. Okay. That sounds disgusting. Squawk and scoot. Yeah. Huh. That just doesn't sound like a good restaurant slogan to me. Tell you what it makes me think of. It makes me think of a dog scooting across a rug. That's what that makes me think of. The scoot part, anyway. That's funny. That's a hoot. 65 miles from home. About an hour. Hey, a little more than an hour because I have to get through Chickasha. Have to get through here first, then all the little towns between here and Chickasha, and then get through Chickasha. Okay, these lights are getting really freaking annoying. Oh, gosh. Seriously, a school zone at 7 o'clock at night? Really? They had this going Sunday too. Last week. It's like, come on, turn the damn sign off, would you? School's been out for hours. Hours. Oh my gosh, just let me go, please. Change light, would you? Come on. Thank you. Go, guy. Just go. This guy's just not going to drive the speed limit, and I'm kind of jammed in here. I got a car back here on my blind spot, so I can't go around him. I wish he'd pick up the pace a little bit. Some of us have places to go. He's too busy chatting his girl up, I guess, to actually pay attention to driving, which I guess I can understand that, but I wish he'd stop. Like, drive now, chat later. Please. It's so close to getting on down the road here. Chickasha south, yes. Yay. Let me out of here. What I'm talking about. Oh, you freaking people, get out of the way, please. Gosh. Ugh. Thank God. About freaking time. I know I'm pretty dramatic, huh? Sometimes I've just had enough, you know? And I've kind of had enough today. Pretty much just had enough. All right. If I don't break an axle on this bumpy ass road, maybe I can make it home here pretty soon. This isn't going to last very long. I can only run 70 this one little stretch. I don't know why, but for some reason they don't have all of 81 as 4-lane, and all of 81 is not 70 miles an hour. If you notice up north of here, it was all 65. Makes no sense to me because divided 4-lane highways in Oklahoma are supposed to be 70 mile an hour roads. For some reason, it's never been changed to 70 up north of here. So from here down to Union City will be 70, and then it'll drop down to single lanes and 65 all the way down to Chickasha. And then on the south side of Chickasha, it'll go into 2 lanes again at 70, all the way into almost to Marlow, and then it'll drop down to 55. So it's like, make up your damn minds. Either make it a fast road or don't make it a fast road. But can we have some consistency here? The answer is hell no. We cannot have consistency. So right in this area is where I got into that deal last year, and you can see the video for it. I'll pull the number of the video up. What I did this past couple of days that I haven't been working is I numbered all my videos. And some of them have kind of funky numbers at the very beginning because I started working backwards, and the video count that YouTube gave me was a little different from the number of videos I actually had posted. So I don't start with video number 1 and work up. I start with video number 4A and work up for A, B, C, D. But once I get past like 7, then it just turns into straight numbers. So don't be all confused by that. It was a problem I had by starting backwards. Someday I may go in and redo them. In fact, I may do that this weekend. I may go in and renumber everything from the front out, since now I've got a better idea how many videos I actually have. It's not that hard to do, it's just kind of tedious. So, you know, it's too bad they don't have a better way to do it, but they don't. You have to go in and change the name of each video. So, you know, I'll just have to suck it up and do it, I guess. Okay, so we are out of the danger zone, I would say, for hail. I think that's all going to be back behind us. Thank goodness. No hail dings on this trailer. I hope we don't get any hail this weekend either, because it's going to sit in our yard for 2 days. But that's just how it goes. It just is. So what I may do is I may take this down. Well, I probably won't, but I might take this down Sunday night and get within an hour or so of my delivery spot, and then go in early in the morning and deliver it Monday. That would free me up, take more loads, and I'd have the drive time to do it. So I may do that. I may actually take this down Sunday night. Okay, I really got to watch my speed in here because they are usually running traffic through here. This is a big, all these towns going down 81 are speed traps, basically from here down to Chickasha. Chickashay's not so much, but Union City is, Minko is, Pocasset's not so much. Then south of Chickasha, Rush Springs is a big one. Oh yeah, you fly through there like that. That's a good way to get a ticket in here. Maybe they know something I don't know. Maybe the cop went home for the day. I'm not taking that kind of chance because he was sitting over here by this little trailer on the left side. I guess that's a little coffee place. I don't know if I've ever seen it open. Maybe once. But a lot of times, city cop will sit right there and run radar up north. It's probably a pretty good fishing hole. So I imagine he can write as many tickets out here today as he wants to. So this town in the 70s was hit by a bad tornado, and it wiped out a bunch of the town, leveled it. This was the first place I ever saw tornado damage. We came up here a few days after. Dad drove us up here, sightseeing, you know, how people do. And I had never seen anything like that. My dad told a story about when he was a kid on the farm between Sterling and Marlow, and there was a family over about 4 or 5 miles over up on the highway going into Sterling. They're about 4 or 5 miles as the crow flies, I think, somewhere around in there, and a tornado hit their place. And they had an earthen cellar. They didn't have a concrete cellar back then. Most people didn't. They had earthen cellars. This had to be in like the 40s. And I guess the family was all in the cellar. The man got his family to go all in the cellar. And then the tornado came through and it picked up a tractor, if I remember all this right. I think it picked up a tractor and dropped it on the cellar, killing some of them, I think. And then they could see it, the neighbors could see the cows getting lifted up into the ground and dropped by this tornado. It was really hideous, really awful. Oh, that was pretty bad. But that little town of Sterling is right in line with all the big storms that come through and end up going through Oklahoma City. They spin up over by the Wichita Mountains, out a little bit from the Wichita Mountains, kind of on the northeast side of Lawton. That's where a lot of these big storms start spinning up. And then they cut at an angle to the northeast, up through right through Sterling, right up by Chickasha, and then right up through Bridge Creek, and then right up into Oklahoma City. So they run that alley through there. And that's almost always when there's a big one, that's the route it takes in this area. That's not to say that there haven't been destructive tornadoes in other places, because we had one in Marlow. It must have been maybe 8 years ago, and it came in, it was a blue sky, and there was one cloud came in on the west side of town. The wind was blowing from the east, and it came into the east side of town, just one big cloud, and it spun up a tornado and dropped a bunch of hail, big hail, and tore up everything in town. A lot of people lost their windows. There was one church down there that every window got knocked out on the east side of the building. And a lot of people lost their roofs. In fact, the house that my mom and dad bought had been affected by that too, because it blew the roof off of it, or tore it up anyway, enough to where they had damage. And that was one of the things they told mom and dad, that the roof was new because it had been damaged in that storm. So, you know, they do go through there in other places occasionally, but it wasn't like an F2 or an F3 or something. It was probably a little F1 and just went around wreaking havoc. And that's usually what you'll find in the other areas outside of that kind of alley. Not always, but for the most part. That's why people in different areas in Oklahoma worry more or less about having a storm cellar. I don't worry as much about having one because we're not in a spot where the storms spin up like that, usually. It's not to say that we won't ever get hit by one, but our house has been sitting there since 1972 and it's never been hit. So, you know, knock on wood. I hope I'm not jinxing it by saying that. That would suck. But, you know, to be honest, there are places that are scarier and places that are not as scary within this region that you know, people look at it as like, well, they could come up anywhere. And that's true, they could, but they usually don't. It's usually a specific track, and it has a lot to do, I think, with the lay of the land, with the Wichita Mountains, and probably the wind that comes off of the Wichita Mountains, the way the air rises or whatever, or falls coming off of there. These are not huge mountains, but they're big enough they have some effect on the weather. It's pretty obvious. And so that's usually where they spin up, where the really bad ones do. Sometimes they'll spin up down south of Lawton even, but they still follow that same main track, it seems like. That's kind of the secret pathway they all seem to take, all the big ones. So it's kind of weird. But storms are kind of weird. These tornado storms are very weird. They're odd phenomena, you know, very odd weather phenomena. "49 miles to go. I am so ready to be home. I'm just freaking ready. Had enough. Everything green, RX." Okay. That's an interesting concept, a pot leaf with a cross in the middle of it. It's a little different. I mean, back in my day, it was Mr. Natural. Of course, my day was a long time ago, too. Very long time ago now. And I don't understand the pot culture in this state at all. I just don't get it. It's like, we've got medicinal marijuana. We just voted to turn down the idea of having recreational marijuana, which I was really proud of Oklahoma for saying no to that, because it was kind of a racket. But I don't get the culture that goes along with it, even the medicinal It's like these people have a certain mindset, and to be honest, I think they're just pot smokers. Just your garden variety pot smokers that are using this as an excuse to smoke pot, for the most part. Now, there are legitimately people who use it medicinally. I'm not saying everybody falls in that, just dope smoking category, but a lot of them do. I mean, let's be honest. If you're, 25 years old and healthy, then what are you smoking medicinal pot for? That doesn't add up to me. But it's legal. If they get the license, then that's fine. That's up to them. I just don't understand the culture that goes along with it, though, because the same people who are saying they're using it medicinally have they got pot leaf stuff all over the place, all the paraphernalia. It's like it's like looking back at the 70s in a way, but as if in the 70s we were all sitting around smoking dope, yes, it was the 70s, come on, but we weren't sitting around saying, oh, we're doing this for medicinal purposes. No, man, it was to get high. So, but then all the culture around that seems to have transferred from like the 70s pot smokers now to the 2020 medicinal pot people. And that's one of the reasons I'm not necessarily buying that the majority of it isn't for just recreational purposes anyway. I mean, if somebody really wants to smoke pot legally in Oklahoma, all they got to do is find a doctor that will give them the golden ticket to go to the dispensary and buy it. And from what I understand, it doesn't take much to get one, because they have certain doctors set up that hand them out, just basically with a cursory exam. What do you need it for? Okay, that sounds fine to me. Here you go. Here's your prescription. Here's your card. So I don't really buy that it's all medicinal. I don't even really buy that it's mostly medicinal use going on here. I think it's mostly recreational use going on under the guise of medicinal. Ooh, we got lightning in this one. This is interesting. I hope we don't get into some hail here. I'll keep this camera running because this is actually kind of pretty. But it's kind of spooky too, seeing just white bolts of lightning in a white cloud like that. It's a little creepy. Little creepy. Anyway, I mean, it doesn't matter to me what people decide to do. If they want to do that, that's their business. I just find it a little hypocritical, maybe. And I don't think it does the medicinal program any service. Oh, that was a big one. That it casts the atmosphere over the whole program, even the medicinal part of it, as being more of a party thing than a pain management thing, I think. But that's just me, and I'm just one old lady, so what do I know? And I'm not anti-pot, actually. I'm anti-Californians coming in and controlling the pot in Oklahoma, and that's pretty much what has happened. They came in, they weren't supposed to be able to come in and do it, but they did. And now they've pretty much taken over the program from the locals and made it so that the locals can't afford to be in the program, to do the growing and the processing and such. And they, the program was originally intended to benefit native Oklahomans, the people that are already here, not to import a bunch of Californians to come change our culture. to suit them. So that's the problem I have with it. But as far as, somebody wants to get high, I don't care. It's not my jurisdiction anymore. Even in Colorado, I mean, when I was a cop, unless you were selling it in quantity, in Colorado it was decriminalized pretty much. So you would get a petty crime ticket. It wasn't even a misdemeanor. If you had less than a certain amount, I can't remember if it was less than half an ounce or what. But if you had less than that amount, we would just confiscate it and write you a ticket. Big deal. And then you weren't under the stigma of having a drug charge because it wasn't even a misdemeanor charge. So I don't know. Kind of weird. But we've got dispensaries all over the place now. We've got dispensaries running out our ears. Just about every little town has a dispensary. And some towns have way too many dispensaries. They've got so many that, they have trouble staying in business. So they've got too much competition, I guess. But I'm not even sure. Oh, I got on that topic because I saw the dispensary, yeah. I was going to say I'm not even sure how I got off on that topic. But anyway, I'm glad that we rejected, as a state, we rejected recreational use. And I think that was the right move to make, because back in like 2018, I think it was, that they asked the voters of Oklahoma if they would allow medical use. And out of, sympathy and kindness, Oklahomans pretty much agreed, yeah, we can do medical use. But then they turned right around from the get-go. They didn't just start this the last year. They've been pushing ever since for recreational. Pushing hard. And they finally got their answer, and then they were pissed. So it was like, what's wrong with Oklahoma? I'm going to go, I wish I could just get rid of all these stupid Okies, And it's like, well, why don't you move someplace that has recreational? If that is of critical importance to you, there are a lot of states that do have recreational use. And you are certainly welcome to move to any one of them. We'll even help you pack, because we're that nice. We might even drive you to the state line and drop you off if you don't have a ride. But I don't know, it's kind of funny. Man, the sky is just like on fire here. The sun is starting to go down and throw some color. Oof, oof. Well, I'm glad I got this camera running. I really hope I don't get hit by any of that. I got a giant aluminum trailer on the back of this truck. I'm going to sit with my feet and legs away from the door and everything else. But squinch in here as tight as I can get. If I get hit, maybe I won't get fried. I don't know. But talk about pretty, huh? Isn't that beautiful? Colorado may claim the title Colorful Colorado, but it's not a bland palette here in Oklahoma either, by any means. Not by any means. That's just so weird. The sun is over. That's pretty amazing. The sun is going down over in the west, but we're pointed south. So what you're seeing on these clouds is a reflection of the sunlight coming out around the clouds over there that's hiding the sun, because you can't really see the sun itself over there. It's just kind of orange around the edge of purple clouds. So all this is just reflection up here ahead of us. I'm going to back this out a little bit so you can see maybe the bigger picture. How cool is that? Now it looks like we got wind blowing out of the north. The winds are changing as we go along here, so this must be like where all this crazy wind stuff is converging. It's right in this area. Now I'm going to give you a look out west if I can here. There's the sun out west. And that's down behind a hill, so maybe you can see more when we get up here. Okay, so now we're turning south again. So come back around. Look out over the hood of the truck again. And we're back just pointed south. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. Pretty colorful. So I've got about 6 more miles to go to get into Chickasha. We got a rainbow over to our left. I don't know if I can get that or not. I think my GPS is in the way. And we'll just have to leave it where it's at for the moment. And I'm driving fast. As you can see, our trees are getting leaves. They're getting filled in with leaves now. Yeah, we've got, let's take this out of the way so I can show you this. Hopefully, and show you. There's a rainbow over there somewhere. If you can see it or not, I don't know, because I can't see my view screen right now. I just kind of gauge which way it's pointing. I'll leave it go till we get past all these trees. So I'm pointed kind of east-southeast here. There's a little more east. Okay, so we're going to go back to the south. I don't know if you can see that rainbow or not. I hope so. Pretty crazy. Crazy skies today. Crazy skies. Put my GPS back up now. There we go. Seriously, guy? The hell? So we're getting into some rain, evidently. Rain on the pavement. I'm not seeing rain falling out of the sky. Makes me wonder if there's something up here above me. I don't know. I think that lady was just getting out so she could take a picture of that. rainbow. So we'll try that again. I mean, see it. See it, not see it, I don't know. But we're almost down here to the turn into Chickasha. Another couple of miles. This kind of sky color is really makes me a little uneasy. It's real pink. It's not green though. Green would be worse. Green would be really worrying me, because green usually means hail. This kind of eerie pink. It is eerie. And I have no idea what I'm driving into here, because look at the Minko Tuttle Chickasha. Chickasha is under a line of thunderstorms right now, and we're just heading right into them. Oh great. Freaking awesome. Not really. This kind of sucks. I was trying to avoid them and these popped up down here. I think the worst of that is east of us, which we've got to go east down here unless I cut around the west side. I think I'm going to cut around the west side and try and avoid the worst of this. Yeah, I don't like the looks of any of that. Not really. So in this region, for the most part, when you've got severe weather, it usually is moving either from the southwest to the northeast, or from the northwest to the southeast. Predominantly it comes out of the southwest, predominantly, and that's what it looks like this is doing. I'm just not sure I like the looks of that stuff though, going under it. That almost looks like a wall cloud is trying to form. I think we're going to cut around the west side of town and stay out from under that big batch of cloud there that looks like it could be spinning up into a wall cloud. I don't want to get tornadoized. Don't have any desire to be tornadoized. So we're going to cut around the back way. Now you can see out west what's coming. We got more storms spinning up north that we just came through. Is all that. So we just came through here by the skin of our teeth, just missing all of this. Somebody's watching out for us. I'll tell you that. Somebody is watching out for us. So what I'm doing is I'm cutting around the west end of Chickasha on county roads. I semi kind of grew up around here a little bit. I know a lot of these roads. And it's been raining hard here. The ditches are full. That has dumped a lot of rain. And I'm still 31 miles from the house. I'm hoping once I get south of Chickasha, I'll get out of this. Chickasha gets a lot of stuff that we don't get. It's all about the geography, I really think, the lay of the land, where these storms like to track. Taking it really easy through here. This road is pretty wet, a lot of standing water on it. We'll go down here another mile or so and then cut down on Grand Avenue along the south side of town. So it looks to me like the worst of it is northeast of Chickasha. And that's probably the direction it's moving. That's what it looks like. It looks like it's moving that way. So it's moving away from us now. We're getting down on the southwest side of town, which is very good. It's always good for the storm to be moving away from you whenever at all possible. You know, we've got a lot more tools now than we used to have. I mean, I can pull up radar and see which way the storm's moving if I, you know, have time to pull over and look at it and, you know, check it without, you know, worrying about running off the road or something. I'm not even going to look at it here. This road is skinny and there's standing water, and you know, I've got a wide trailer back there. I don't need to be tempting fate by taking my attention off of what I'm doing here. But I could look and confirm what I think I'm seeing, what I think I'm seeing is movement to the northwest. So the sunset's very pretty back over there. I'm not going to flip the camera back around because, like I say, I got to keep my hands on the wheel on these skinny roads like this. I mean, it's skinny enough that if I need to get over suddenly, I could pop a wheel off the edge of that asphalt and that could cause me some problems. So I'm just going to hang on and, you know, be careful going through here. I haven't got very much farther to go before I can turn off and get on the city street on Grand Avenue here. In fact, it's right down here. Now I'm debating whether I want to run in. I think I'm going to go on up. There's another turn I can make farther south that'll get me even farther out of town and out away from traffic. I think I'm going to take it. Go ahead, you got the right of way. Use it. Kind of high on their diesel there, 409. It's kind of crazy. A little greedy. Just a little greedy. Okay, so I'll put my fog lights on. It's starting to get dark. Okay, so instead of taking Grand, I'm going to take Country Club. It's up here another half a mile or so. And it'll take me back out to Highway 81. So basically, instead of going through town by going east on Highway 81 or 62 over to 81, I just came the back way. It's not really a shortcut. I think it's about the same. It's just, I think it's a little quicker though because you don't have the stoplights and things to worry about. And I know this is a good railroad crossing. It's not like I'm going to get messed up with a trailer on it. It's a pretty gradual one. So this is a good place to cross. And where they're saying no trucks, they mean no semis. I know I'm always saying that, but it bears repeating because You know, reminder, I'm not in a truck. Technically, I'm in a pickup, which is not the same class as a truck, even though for trucking rule intents and purposes, this is considered a truck, but not for road sign purposes. That makes sense. There's a distinction. Okay, now we're heading toward the main cell of the storm, and you can see it's moving off to the east. We've only got less than a mile to go, and we're going to head south again. So we're pretty much working the backside of this storm, staying the hell out of its way. There's a lot of lightning in that. Some crazy lightning in it, actually. Okay, another 6/10 of a mile. Times like this, I actually like this GPS, or any GPS. Even if this one fights with me a lot of the time, it's good for stuff like this because I can tell how far I have to go till I turn and stuff. So it's actually useful, helpful. I mean, I know where this turn is, but it's right up here on top of this hill. But I like having a confirmation of it. I don't have to think so hard. And look at that lightning. It's crazy. It's like lighting the cloud up from the inside out. Okay, I'm going to turn this wide. This isn't a super long trailer, but I don't want to curb it anyway. This is kind of a skinny road. It's kind of a beat to hell road too. It's got a lot of holes in it. Bumpy, bumpy. Bumpy, lumpy. Got that all lit up kind of nice. Muscle Car Ranch. You have to look that up on the internet. I'm not sure what all that's about, but they got it fixed up kind of cute. Oh, this road has got a lot of holes in it right here. Ah, dang it. So I guess it's just gonna storm all night, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of weird because there was nothing showing down here on the radar earlier. So these are storms that are just popping up. We must just be on the dry line, or right behind it. Still some pretty good lightning going over here to the east of me. We're gonna lose our light pretty soon. I guess, it's almost 8, so that makes sense. Okay, guy, you can dim your freaking lights. Seriously. People that run around with their bright lights on all the time just annoy the living shit out of me. They don't, either they have their brights on or their lights are not adjusted down toward the road. They're pointing up into your eyes. A lot of people don't even know you can adjust your headlights, I guess, because a lot of people run around with them all out of whack and blind the hell out of everybody doing it. But I've noticed here in the last year or so, a lot of people refuse to dim their lights at night. You can flick your bright lights at them and they'll just kind of like flip you off and leave their brights on, and just they don't care if they're blinding you. It's getting to be a thing. People are just, maybe they feel like they just can't see without them on at all. I don't know. Or maybe they're afraid to dim them. I have no idea what it is. Or maybe they're just really jerks. That could be it too. It could be any of the above, or a combination. But it's super annoying. And on the interstate, it's getting to the point where almost nobody dims their lights anymore for the oncoming traffic. And you just get, after a few hours of driving on the interstate at night, you just feel like your eyes are just going to bleed out of your head because they've been so cooked by all the lights. The people refuse to dim them. It's like, but why? What is so hard about just dimming your damn lights? Oncoming traffic, dim your lights. That's the law. It's not a suggestion, it's the law. But evidently, not enough people are getting written up for it because it seems to be getting more and more of a popular thing to do. And I kind of understand how that kind of thing can spread like a bug, like a contagion. Because if you're on the interstate and everybody else is bright lighting the hell out of you and you can't really see because everybody's bright lighting the hell out of you, what options are you left with? Well, either you learn to drive without looking at their lights at all and learn to adapt to it, or you turn your brights on too and just say to hell with all y'all too. And I think that's kind of where we're at. I think everybody's pretty much like, to hell with all y'all. I'm gonna run my brights and y'all can kiss my ass. That seems to be the prevailing attitude. Okay, I think we have made it through the gauntlet. 22 miles from the house. So far, so good. Get back up to speed here. And we should be home in about 15 minutes. Somewhere thereabouts. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, I'm going to make a northern approach to the house, to the farm, as opposed to the southern approach. I found a way I can drag a trailer without having to cross the bad railroad tracks. There are two good crossings I can use. One of them is north of our house and one's south. So one is at the corner, at the very end of the divided highway, where the highway comes back together just outside of Marlow on the north end. That's one of the roads I can take, and that I can actually cross the railroad track with a trailer on. The other one is the main drag going right through town. It's Highway 29. There are a couple of other crossings that I will not even attempt to drag a trailer over because they're too steep. And if you get a trailer stuck on a railroad track, it's a huge fine. That's bad news. They're not messing around. They take that very seriously. Well, that new windshield wiper I got just it's not even wiping the water off the windshield, just smearing it around. It's pretty bad, pretty lousy. And it's a Rain-X wiper too, so I'm pretty disappointed in that. I'm gonna have to replace it because that's not doing the job. I guess what I'll do is I'll pull both of these off and just go get some other better kind of wipers and put on here, because these are very unsatisfactory. They haven't ever been great, but that one's really horrible. But I guess I'll do that tomorrow. Go find myself a new set of wipers, something that actually works. It's always something. Always something. I guess I'll just keep this running until I run out of light, because the sky is kind of cool and pretty. So if you enjoy cool and pretty colorful skies, maybe you'll enjoy that. Might enjoy it more when it quit raining and I get to quit running the windshield wipers. Nice, neatly tarp load that guy had. Those tarps are a bear to work with. They're heavy. I had one load I had to tarp like that, and I had to borrow the tarps to do it. Never again. Never ever again. That was years and years ago. It was one of my first trips back to West Virginia. I had a backhaul coming out of Pittsburgh. I dropped off some oil field equipment in West Virginia in Jane Lou, which is a little town. And I had to go up to Pittsburgh from there, right ahead of a big blizzard that was coming in. And I hurried up and got loaded with a bunch of steel cables that they just laid down on my trailer. I had a 40-foot trailer. So I had to strap these things down and I had to tarp them. And God, it was a nightmare. So the next morning, I went right back to Jane Lou to stay out of the way of the storm that was coming through, because I needed to get south again. So I ran back and stayed at the same motel I stayed at the night before. And the next morning I got up, went out and checked everything. Everything seemed okay. The load seemed okay. So I went on down the roadways. And it just didn't feel right. So I pulled in at a rest area and I stopped and restrapped and retarped the whole load. It just didn't feel right to me. I was glad I did, because things had shifted around some. And while I was there, it was kind of funny. While I was there retarping and restrapping this whole load, a trooper pulled in and did an inspection on another vehicle. Pulled him into the rest area for an inspection. So I was thinking, man, I was lucky he didn't get me before I retarped and restrapped this, because I would have been in trouble. So I was very conscientious about making sure everything was perfect before I left that rest area. Because, you know, that's what they were doing through there. They were pulling over commercial vehicles and inspecting them. And then I did get inspected with that same load in Tennessee, I think. Pretty sure it was Tennessee. It was either Tennessee or Kentucky. I got inspected at a weigh station. And I was kind of saved by the bell on that one. The guy didn't really do the whole physical inspection because the guy came in behind me with a hazmat load. He had hazardous materials in his truck. It was not placarded, and they were in placardable amounts. He had no paperwork. He didn't speak English. I think he's probably still at that weigh station, 15 years later. I don't think they ever let him leave. He was in violation of everything that you could be in violation of. He had no hazmat, nothing. He had no certifications. Poor guy was in big trouble. So the inspector, who had been going over my logs, he said, "You know what? I think you can go." I'm like, "Thank you. I'm gone." I'm so out of here. So I scurried on out to the parking lot and took the hell off and just got out of there. I was like, oh, that was a close one. I know it would have passed inspection because I'd been checking it all the way, but still, you don't really want to get inspected when you don't have to. So that was kind of comical in a way, but I felt sorry for the poor foreign guy because he may have gone straight to jail. I don't know. I have no idea. Probably not. They probably pulled his. They probably put him out of service. I'm sure they put him out of service. And they probably called his trucking company and said, "You need to come get this guy and bring a driver with hazmat. Somebody who's legal to move this load." So that would be my guess. It looks like we've outrun the rain. Thank you, God. I'm really glad we didn't get into any really bad, crappy weather. Kind of skirted around the edges of some. But it looks like the sky is a lot clearer over on this side. That's pretty great. The windshield's still dirty. There's not much I can do about that right now, I think. Alright, I'm going to call it a day. This is Rush Springs. This is where we're ending for the day. And thank you for riding along with me. I appreciate you watching these videos. If you like what you're seeing, subscribe, please. Click the thumbs up. And let other people know if they like watching this kind of stuff. Let them know I'm here. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good weekend, and I will get back to work on Monday. Good night.